Number 10. Immortality. There's a jellyfish that defies the typical rules of the animal kingdom and possesses immortal qualities. Known by the scientific name of Pteridopsis dorini, it has a very unique advantage of never reaching an end-of-life stage. It is the only known creature that can technically live forever. These tiny creatures, which have up to 90 tentacles, only grow up to 0.18 inches long. The appropriately nicknamed immortal jellyfish ages into adulthood. Then it mates with other jellyfish. Afterwards, it reverts back to its younger form, in other words, a sexually immature stage, and starts its life anew. After it goes back into this state, it'll start aging again until it goes and mates. Then the jellyfish will revert back to its juvenile state, and so the cycle repeats. This repetitive cycle is what makes the creature immortal. While it may be killed by disease or another animal, it doesn't die by aging. Scientists are still learning about the immortal jellyfish's life cycle, as they've only just observed it in laboratories, not in its natural environment. Number 9. Real Wolverine. Nicknamed the horror frog and the hairy frog, Triobatrachus robustus produces its cat-like extended claws by deliberately breaking the bones in its hind feet, causing them to puncture its toe pads. The creature most likely engages in this self-mutilation of sorts as a defense mechanism or when it feels threatened. Scientists aren't sure how, but the frog can also retract its DIY claws. There's no weapon that pulls the claws back inside the toe pads, leading experts to believe that perhaps they slide back in naturally when the creature relaxes. Being amphibians, it would not be surprising if some parts of the wound heal and the tissue is regenerated. Scientist David Blackburn explained to New Scientist in 2008. Blackburn studied dead specimens of the creatures with his college at Harvard University's Museum of Comparative Zoology. These frogs are apparently so feared in their native environments. In Cameroon, the locals hunt them with spears and machetes to avoid their claws. Number 8. Super speed. The peregrine falcon is the world's fastest animal, diving at speeds of up to 242 miles per hour. Typically, the bird flies between 40 and 60 miles per hour. It utilizes its super fast speed to swoop in for the kill when hunting. By tucking its wings in and forming its body into an extremely aerodynamically efficient teardrop shape, the peregrine falcon has several other biological advantages when it comes to flying, including an enlarged keel or breastbone, enabling more muscle growth and flight power. Its pointed wings allow for maximum lift, speed, and maneuverability. The bird's slim, stiff feathers result in minimal drag, especially compared to avian species with limp or loose feathers. Perhaps the most important features that facilitate the peregrine falcon's amazing flying speed are its respiratory and circulatory systems. While many birds can't breathe while flying at half the peregrine falcon's top speed, it inhales and exhales with ease at over 200 miles per hour. Its heart also beats fast and strong, pumping oxygen throughout the bird's body at the necessary rate for flying comfortably without getting tired at such high speeds. Number 7. Die and come back to life. The wood frog is broadly distributed throughout North America. Every year, these creatures freeze, but not entirely solid for up to 7 months. When a wood frog senses cold temperatures on the way, 2/3 of its body turns to ice. Its heart stops beating, its blood sugar levels drastically increase, and its blood flow stops. For the first week of this process, wood frogs freeze at night and thaw out during the day. Once freezing temperatures have settled in for the season, however, they freeze and remain frozen until spring. While frozen, wood frogs can withstand temperature as low as 0 degrees Fahrenheit. For many animals, freezing ultimately leads to death, and while the wood frog is essentially dead in certain ways while in this state, freezing is, ironically, more or less a survival mechanism. Experts believe that freezing enables more of the glycogen stored in the frog's liver to be converted into glucose, which keeps the cells hydrated and keeps them alive during the winter. When spring returns, the frogs simply thaw out and return to life. Number 6. Seeing heat. Snakes are already well known for their refined senses, such as detecting scents with their tongues. But in the case of the pit viper and few other species like certain pythons and boas, their senses go even beyond that. Their skin and nerves are so refined that they're actually able to detect the very heat given off by an animal. These snakes have holes on their faces called pit organs, which contain nerve cells that act as infrared receptors, detecting radiation as heat rather than light. This process enables the creature to see the silhouette of their prey in the dark. In other words, the pit organs work essentially like a built-in infrared camera. In addition to being useful for hunting at night, pit organs come in handy for detecting prey in cold environments. Number 5. Super strength. The dung beetle is the world's strongest bug, mainly because of how much weight it can move in proportion to its own size. On average, a dung beetle is less than half an inch long, but it can pull roughly 1,141 times its own weight. Or, as Discovery magazine explained, the equivalent of a 154-pound person dragging 6 fully loaded double-decker buses. In a 2010 study, scientists Rob Nell and Lee Simmons discovered that the dung beetle's strength correlates with its sex life, as evidenced by the frequent battles that males get into over females. Weaker males aren't at a complete disadvantage against other dung beetles. They tend to be more fertile, thus increasing their chances of fathering a female's eggs. Number 4. Precognition. The ability of any creature to see the future is widely debated and doubted among humans, but evidence suggests that dogs are equipped with precognitive abilities. Many dog owners who have experienced their beloved canines knowing when it's time for dinner or wait at the door for other household members to return home from work would probably say they already knew this. Science is just starting to catch up with the idea of dogs being able to predict the future, and so far, studies show that dogs really do seem to have an uncanny sense of time. Many believe that dogs can sense danger, including medical emergencies and natural disasters, and that they can see or sense ghosts and other supernatural phenomena. There are also cases showing that dogs have a navigational sixth sense of sorts, where canines find their way back to their families after being separated from them. Other research has yielded similar results for elephants, indicating that they can predict when a watering hole will run dry. Number 3. Regeneration. Believe it or not, regeneration is actually a fairly common superpower in the animal kingdom. From sea creatures who can regrow limbs to lizards who can regenerate their tails, healing abilities are surprisingly present in the animal kingdom. But one animal, sloths, have a more advanced form of regeneration. As you probably already know, sloths are extremely slow. This makes them extremely vulnerable to predators. Fortunately for them, science has shown that sloths can survive pretty extreme injuries, mainly because the animal has a slow metabolism and because its fur contains numerous antibacterial agents. As a result, wounds that usually kill other animals rarely become infected and typically heal in a month or less. While it's not impossible to kill a sloth, the odds of one dying from an infected injury are low. Number 2. Spider silk production. The spider's superpower is its ability to produce extremely strong, giant webs which it uses to ensnare its enemies. This talent is especially evident among Castrostis darwini, or the Darwin's bark spider. The anchor strands of their webs measure as long as 82 feet across, long enough to span a stream, river, or perhaps even a tiny lake. And their webs occupy up to 30 square feet. The strength of the spider silk was nothing new to scientists when they tested Darwin's bark spider's silk, but they were surprised by how durable it is. It's over 10 times stronger than Kevlar and more than twice as tough as other known types of silk, and is also much more elastic. This elasticity appears to be the key to the silk's strength. It's about twice as stretchy as the silk of other species. Darwin's bark spider was discovered in 2001. It weaves some of the largest webs in the animal kingdom, usually over water, which enables the entrapment of various insects including mayflies, bees, and dragonflies. Some researchers believe the spider's silk has potential commercial value due to its lightweight yet durable properties. Further study may also help producers mimic these qualities. Number 1. Sound mimicry. There are 2 ground-dwelling Australian bird species called the lyrebird. One of them, known as Menura novella hollande, or superb lyrebird of southeastern Australia, is well known for its uncanny ability to imitate rather complex noises, especially the sounds of other birds. In a 2012 study, researchers from the Australian National University learned that the lyrebird's accuracy is so spot on, sometimes it even deceives the original source of the noise it's mimicking. The study also found that the species spends a lot of its time, up to 80%, copying the sounds of other animals. An individual male lyrebird often memorizes the calls of between 20 and 25 other avian species. This clever bird does take shortcuts to master its impressive skills, as the research team learned. We found that the lyrebirds were accurately replicating the structure of shrike thrush songs, but they sang an abridged version containing fewer repeated notes than the songs sung by the real shrike thrushes, stated Anastasia DeZiel, a then PhD student at the Research School of Biology, which is part of ANU's College of Medicine, Biology and Environment. Number 11. Arashiyama Bamboo Grove. Located in Kyoto, Japan, this bamboo grove is one of the most photographed sites in the city. A little in the outskirts, this place has been a popular relaxing destination since the year 794 AD, when nobles would come to enjoy the natural setting. Arashiyama is very popular during the fall and during cherry blossom season. The bamboo groves provide a sense of peace and relaxation. There are paths that cut through so you can go for a nice walk or bicycle ride. When there is a light wind, the tall bamboo gently sways back and forth as the sun peeks through the canopy. It is close to the entrance of the Tenryuji temple and can get very busy, so it is best to go first thing in the morning when it's still peaceful. As soon as you can, you'll just have to go and enjoy the magic for yourself. Number 10. Antelope Canyon. If you think water and rock don't mix, you'd be wrong. In fact, they combine to produce the most stunning geological results, as Antelope Canyon shows. Located a stone's throw, see what I did there, from the city of Page in Arizona, it's both ancient and modern. What do I mean by that? Well, the site, lived on and owned by the Navajo Nation, is not only part of history, but also a popular tourist destination. On top of that, it's insta-famous. Antelope Canyon is famous for its elaborate orange and red colouring. Stunning shafts of light shine down, creating amazing photo ops. The site is comprised of 2 sandstone canyons, formed by erosion from powerful flash flood water. The name of these types of features is Slot Canyon, called that because of their long, narrow and deep shaping. The floodwater usually travels from miles away and is incredibly powerful. These canyons are beautiful but deadly, as tragically demonstrated in 1997. No less than 11 people were killed when a wall of water struck the area. Visitors are drawn to the location because of the many pictures taken and uploaded to social media. One of these snaps is actually the most expensive on record, Phantom by Peter Lick, which sold for a cool $6.5 million. Number 9. Blue Hole. When sinkholes are mentioned in the news, it's typically to do with some kind of disaster on land. However, marine sinkholes are different, and the amazing Great Blue Hole of Belize is a treasure trove of marine life and ancient history. This bluest of blue wonders, formed from limestone and measuring 984 feet across and 400 feet deep, is thought to date to around the last ice age. That makes it approximately 14,000 years old. How do we know it's that old? Because the company Aquatica Submarines took a trip down there in 2018. They wanted to create a 3D map of this beautiful and mysterious place, and what they discovered did not disappoint. For example, the varied forms of life stopped short at 90 meters, owing to the presence of a hydrogen sulfide layer. There are things under that layer, but they're dead, as the layer cut off their oxygen. While the remains include conchs and crabs, they also sadly included 2 human beings. Experts also saw stalactites down there, meaning the place was once a cave that was eventually submerged by rising water. There's actually limited time available to check it out, as sand is gradually building up inside the hole. Belize's Great Blue Hole is a UNESCO World Heritage Site, but that doesn't mean it escapes the forces of nature. And now for number 8, but first be sure to subscribe to Epic Wildlife if you haven't already, and let me know which place you'd like to visit in the comments below. Number 8. Cretaceous Paleogene Boundary. Geological wonders can really surprise us. They aren't all huge chunks of rock or eye-catching fossils and stuff like that. Some can be pretty small, but highly significant to our understanding of what goes on with planet Earth. A classic case is the K-PG boundary, or the Cretaceous Paleogene boundary. This sediment layer, about the width of a human finger, is an astonishing 66 million years old. You can find it running through rock all around the world, from the Netherlands to Alberta, Canada. It represents the end of the Mesozoic era and the beginnings of the Cenozoic era. How do we know this? Well, although it looks like a little thing, the KPG boundary makes a big splash in an archaeological sense. That's because it records the time where it's believed a 6 to 9 mile wide meteorite hit the Earth, causing the extinction of the dinosaurs. 3/4 of life is thought to have been wiped out, with the boundary appearing to be evidence of this. The famous Alvarez hypotheses of 1980 first put forward the idea of such a catastrophic event, and the boundary contains high levels of iridium, a chemical linked to space rocks. Sounds like he had a pretty strong argument. Number 7. Crystal Cave. The Sierra de Nica mountain in Mexico is an impressive enough geological spectacle as is, but it's what's beneath the mountain that interests us most. At the start of the century, a mining company went down there to drain the area looking for stuff to make a profit on. Situated in Chihuahua, Mexico, the underground mine is highly automated. Ore is crushed and transported to the surface by a conveyor belt. 60,000 litres of water per minute is pumped out of the mine to prevent flooding, and groundwater is just 110 metres below the surface. Mine operations continue 740 metres below groundwater level. What they discovered came as a surprise. Giant crystals. When I say giant, I'm not exaggerating. At their biggest, 40 foot in length and 13 foot wide, they look like something out of science fiction. Made from the mineral gypsum, they formed naturally in super steamy 136 degree temperatures. Of course, what's good for crystals isn't great for humans. The level of humidity down there is dangerous. Needless to say, this attraction did not welcome casual visitors. The air temperature can go up to 122 degrees Fahrenheit, with humidity of 90 degrees, making it one of the most extreme climates on the planet. Not many were allowed inside to begin with. The cave in which the crystals were found is in a U shape, measuring 98 feet long and 32 feet wide. If you wanted to check out the crystals for yourself, you're out of luck. 2017 saw operations stop, with water flooding the area once again to protect and preserve the crystals. Today, scientists hope for a Mexican government to agree to request UNESCO World Heritage status in the hopes of protecting these unique crystals for future generations to study and enjoy. Number 6. Door to Hell. The Devasa crater, or Door to Hell, is located in the country of Turkmenistan. Most of Turkmenistan is made up of the Karakum Desert. What better place for such a fiery geological marvel? We should say the Door to Hell isn't a door as such. It's a blazing pit that's been burning for decades. The crater is 230 feet wide and 98 feet deep. The temperature down below is an eyebrow-frying 750 degrees Fahrenheit. Why is a pit burning in the first place? The answer lies somewhat stinkily with methane gas. No one is certain how the crater came to be. Some believed it formed naturally, whereas others have more colourful stories. Apparently, in 1971, a group of geologists from the Soviet Union were looking for either gas or oil under the sand. When they started poking around, the ground collapsed and methane was released. No one wants methane in their lungs, so they decided to set fire to it and burn it off. All this time later, the flames are still raging. Soil collected from the Door to Hell revealed microscopic traces of life existing in the crater. The reason we know so much about the interior is through Canadian hothead George Coronis. In 2013, he was lowered into the pit, where he spent a short period of time checking out the bowels of hell. Better him than us. Number 5. Fumaroles Yellowstone. There's a lot going on beneath the Earth's crust. For example, intense heat generated at Yellowstone comes from the volcanic forces underground. Wyoming didn't know what hit it a whopping 600,000 years back. A huge explosion resulted in the Yellowstone fumaroles. They're a beautiful sight to be sure, but Mother Nature made them in an extremely dangerous way. What's a fumarole? Well, it acts like a true hotline between scalding hot magma and the surface of our planet. We associate this kind of thing with volcanoes. But what happens with a fumarole is that a chamber of magma is created when the hot stuff is pushed upwards, making a scary looking dome on the landscape. After a time, the dome pops like a zit. Sorry for that imagery. And what's left is a geological pockmark or caldera. With the lava still flowing and various gases in the mix, we get these amazing colours through geochemistry. Another name for a fumarole is a thermal basin, which sounds a lot more civilized. People also refer to them as thermal pools. That sounds cooler, however there's nothing cool about a fumarole. If you're not careful, they will burn you to a crisp. Number 4. Giant's Causeway. County Antrim in Northern Ireland features the most magical piece of geology on our list. The famous Giant's Causeway is so called because of Finn McCool. He wasn't a giant, but a medieval warrior chieftain. And in case you're thinking Finn McCool sounds a lot like a cartoon dog, his alternative handle is Fionn McCummel. Either way, he's a formidable opponent. Yet even warriors bite off more than they can chew, and that's just what Finn is believed to have done when he took on the giant Benandonur. This hulking great dude had Ireland in his sights, so Finn decided to hurl bits of the coastline into the water, thus making a crazy looking causeway, or road, so he could reach Benandonur. This didn't work out too well, with Finn McCool beating a retreat and being chased by his enemy. Mrs. McCool then tricked the angry Scottish giant, scaring him off by pretending her husband was a giant baby with a humongous daddy. That's just the explanation for tourists anyhow. If you're after something more level-headed, then scientists believe the causeway was formed by lava from a volcano. This was then cooled by the sea, where it settled into a collection of columns. Over 40,000 of them, no less. Number 3. Kalawia Volcano. Found in the Pacific Ocean on the so-called Big Island of Hawaii, Kalawia is one fiery little shield volcano. What's a shield volcano? It's where a continuous flow of fluid lava creates a volcano with a low shield-like shape. Part of Kalawia has been erupting for several decades, meaning that the majority of the outside is made up of new lava. Well, it's several hundred years old, which is young in ancient volcano terms. This action-packed place is a tourist destination and has been drawing visitors since the early 19th century. It has a 3 by 5 kilometer caldera formed approximately 1,500 years ago. The mighty crater of Halemaumau is said to be home to the fire goddess of Pele. Such is the power of Kalawia, its constant spewing of lava has changed the shape of the coastline, as well as swept away property. How much longer can this volcano keep churning out the hot sauce? It doesn't show any signs of running out just yet. The spectacle is amazing, but also pretty hazardous. Number 2. Mount Raima. Natives of the area think that Mount Raima is the stump of a mighty tree that once held all the fruits and most vegetables in the world. They also believe that it was knocked down by Makuaima, the trickster god. This is the beginning of life as we know it, as when the tree crashed on the ground, life was released. From the top, the mountains look like they're floating on clouds, but from the bottom, you'll see they are so steep you can't imagine climbing them. Mount Raima is the planet's greatest tepui, raising 9,000 feet above the rainforest. It's made from sandstone, pure quartz sandstone to be precise, and the epic site straddling Venezuela, Brazil, and Guyana is thought to have stood there for approximately 2 billion years. Rain is just part of life here, with a consistent stream of the wet stuff hammering down on top of the mountain. That in turn creates waterfalls. Raima plays host to the tallest waterfall on record, Angel Falls. You'll need to set aside a few days if you want to venture up to the summit, though be careful if you do. Not just because of the high altitude, the plants on Tepui are carnivorous. Okay, we're exaggerating a little here perhaps. But if you're thinking this sounds like something out of a movie, you'd be right. Many say that Mount Raima inspired the Hallelujah Mountains of Pandora in Avatar. Pixar was greatly inspired by Mount Raima for scenes in their film Up. And Sir Arthur Conan Doyle wouldn't have introduced readers to the Lost World had he not heard about the mysterious site of this geological colossus. Number 1. Tibetan Plateau. Our last pick is arguably the most awesome. This mighty plateau in western China holds the region of Tibet and is populated by over 4 million people. Living at a height of 16,400 feet, there's few people that are hardier than the Tibetans, who have faced both environmental and political hardship over the decades. The area is known as the roof of the world. As for how it came to be there in the first place, the honest answer is that nobody knows. This is an origin even we can't explain, but there are a lot of educated guesses out there. The longest standing theory is that 50 million years ago, or thereabouts, the plateau was dramatically realised when the Indian subcontinent and Eurasia did the geological equivalent of rubbing up against each other. However it happened, the Tibetan Plateau is one of the most distinctive and deeply spiritual places on Earth. In a way, it's a beautiful, natural mystery, better left unsolved. Thanks for watching. There are plenty more places that are amazing, so let me know if you'd like to see a part 2.
Number 20. Pale Spearnosed Bats. Colonies of 400 individuals spend the day roosting in caves or hollow trees. Found in countries of South and Central America, this omnivorous species is unique because much of their diet is comprised of pollen, flowers, and nectar. Some people think they play an important role in pollinating endemic tree species. They display a long, spear-like structure that projects from their face, and that inspires the common name. Number 19. Eastern Red Bats. You'll find these small critters widespread throughout North America and Bermuda. Its entire body is covered in dense fur, which ranges from brick red to a rusty coloration. They often fall prey to crows or blue jays, which hide under leaf piles before ambushing them. Eastern red bats also have a bad habit of flying into cars and into taller human-made structures like wind turbines. Number 18. Ghostfaced Bats. The common name refers to their odd-looking face, which has flaps of skin hanging from it. A smashed-in appearance results from an underdeveloped nose and large ears that seemingly connect over their forehead. Their range includes Guatemala, Mexico, and Texas. Number 17. Virginia Bigeared Bats. True to their common name, these animals are identified by their large ears, which are more than 1 inch long, 2.6 centimeters. They're so long that they reach back about half the length of their body. Weighing some 12 grams, they're the largest cave-dwelling bats known within their range, from Virginia to North Carolina and Kentucky. They're year-round cave dwellers that only leave at night to forage for food. As insectivores, they actually do humans a favour by hunting down harmful species. Unfortunately, they're sensitive to human presence, along with loud noises and bright lights. They've been listed as endangered since the late 1970s. About 20,000 of these bats are estimated to exist. Number 16. Wrinklefaced Bats. The Latin name for this bat is Centurio senex, and basically refers to a 100-year-old person. It's a reference to the animal's appearance, which many have compared to the weathered features of a centenarian. The unusual look results from a skin mask that covers their face, along with skin flaps used as pouches to store fruit. Found in Central America, this species isn't known to interact often with humans. That's good because it's said to have a fearsome bite force, given its size. Number 15. California Leafnosed Bats. A fleshy growth of skin called a nose leaf protrudes above its nose, which accounts for the common name. They can be found throughout deserts of the southwestern US and Mexico. Since desert climates are its natural habitat, these animals don't migrate, nor do they hibernate. They're notable for their impressive maneuverability while flying, and for their large ears which measure about 1 inch, 2.5 centimeters. They also have some voracious appetites. A colony of these bats can gobble up 250,000 pounds, 113 metric tons of insects in a single night. Number 14. Karmazotes. The name of this deity translates as Death Bat in the language of the Maya. In ancient Mesoamerica, the animals were strongly linked to night and death. According to Maya mythology, Karmazotes was half bat, half man, which has led to many references about a version of Batman that existed more than 2,000 years ago. Details about this figure remain sketchy, but he was thought to live inside a cave within the underworld. Paleontologists speculate that the legend of Karmazotes may have been inspired by a creature that existed in the region thousands of years ago. Fossils of a leaf-nosed bat that lived in Central America indicated the extinct creature would have been the largest vampire bat ever known to exist. Many historians say that earlier mentions of a bat-like death god appeared in the mythology of the Zapotec civilization. We'll take a look at that one later on in the episode. Number 13. Ghostbats. That nickname is so cool that we've found it's been appropriated by 2 bat species. But they're unrelated, and they occur on opposite sides of the world. The subject of this segment is found in northern Australia, to which they are endemic. They're recognised as the only bats down under that will prey on animals larger than themselves. These bats will ambush fair-sized vertebrates like birds and reptiles, in addition to their fellow mammals. They rest during daylight hours, then leave in pairs at sunset to commence hunting. The ghost bat's large ears allow it to hear prey rustling on the ground. Along with their hearing, the animals use echolocation and their keen eyesight to target their victims. Number 12. Northern Ghost Bats. This genus of flying mammals occurs throughout Trinidad and Central and South America. The insectivorous animals are noted for their completely white fur, which may have helped inspire the nickname. There's still much that's unknown about these animals because they're infrequently captured, but researchers have documented that these ghost bats make a singing sound while they feed. The sounds are thought to be unique to this genus. Number 11. Fiji Monkeyfaced Bat. Weighing less than 1 pound, 362 grams, these animals are endemic to an island of Fiji in the South Pacific. They were initially lumped together within a genus known as monkey-faced bats, but now they're thought to be more closely related to fruit-eating megabats like flying foxes. Did you know that only 6 of these animals have ever been observed? Number 10. Hori Bats. The word Hori refers to hair that is greyish-white. This species is identified by a dense, dark coat that is frosted with white tips on the hairs, so the adjective is sound. They're found throughout North and South America, with a few showing up in Hawaii and the Galapagos Islands. While they can be solitary critters, these bats are hardcore, long-distance migrants. After wintering in Central America, they'll migrate north to Canada. Unfortunately, those migrations can occur in steep losses for these bats. They're often killed by wind turbines that are mistaken for trees they can rest in. Number 9. Abo Bat. Vespa bats are insectivorous microbats, and this species can be found in areas of Central and West Africa. They inhabit tropical or subtropical forests, but not much is known about the size of their population, which is presumed to be large. Many people are intrigued by their dense covering of yellowish grey fur. Number 8. Desert Longeared Bats. True to their name, these bats usually occur in regions that are extremely barren and arid in the Middle East and North Africa. And their ears are indeed large, measuring more than 1.5 inches, 40 millimeters long, with near horizontal alignment. These bats employ echolocation to detect prey, which is often scorpions. Researchers say that scorpions often strike the bats, but the venom seems to have little, if any, toxic effect on this species. Number 7. Greater Bulldog Bats. That's a colourful nickname for a species which belongs to a family known as fishing bats. By using echolocation, these bats can detect ripples on the water made by fish. The prey is scooped up by a pouch between its legs, and the bat's sharp claws keep it from escaping. These large flying mammals are found from Mexico to Argentina around streams and coastal lagoons. The bulldog name is a reference to their facial features, which are thought to resemble the dog breed. Number 6. Pygmy Pipestreli. As the name indicates, they're classified as microbats and measure about 2 inches long, 5.2 centimeters. They range over most of continental Europe and into regions of Africa and Asia. In the UK, they're one of the most common and abundant bat species. If you're wondering about the name Pipistrelli, it's derived from an Italian word that means bat. Number 5. Hammerheaded Bats. While it kind of looks like a Photoshop creation, you can find this animal in equatorial Africa, where it favours swamps and forests at elevations approaching 5,900 feet, or 1,800 meters. Weighing about 16 ounces or 450 grams, this is the largest bat species native to Africa and has a wingspan of 38 inches or 97 centimeters. Their distinctively shaped heads inspire the common name, but experts say the males have larger noggins, which enables them to blast loud mating calls that sound like honking noises. Number 4. The Zapotec Batgard. Earlier, we mentioned Karmazotes, the ancient Mesoamerican bat god. But that wasn't the only one, nor the earliest. The indigenous Zapotec civilization dated to around 700 BC and flourished in present-day southern Mexico. When archaeologists were excavating a tomb in the ancient city ruins of Monte Alban, they found an unexpected treasure. A strange mask had been crafted from 25 pieces of jade, which was highly valued by Mesoamerican civilizations. While there was disagreement over the mask's purpose, there was a near unanimous agreement on what it represented. It was meant to portray a bat. Because the animals inhabited caves, temples, and tombs, they were thought to be connected to the world of the dead, where ancestral spirits roamed. The bat god was also represented in a form resembling jaguars. Funeral urns bearing that likeness have been found that date to at least 300 AD. Number 3. Fringelipped Bats. Experts have noted that this animal has no known fossils, and it's the only species within its genus. Ranging from Mexico to Brazil, their lips and muzzle display wart-like bumps, which inspire their nickname. While they mainly eat insects and fruit, they are also known to prey on other bats as well. Number 2. Kitties Hognosed Bat. This one is also known as a bumblebee bat due to its small size. Weighing less than 1 ounce, about 2 grams, they measure only 1.3 inches long, that's 33 millimeters. Those diminutive dimensions make it the smallest known species of bats. Some sources also claim it's the world's smallest mammal as well, although that's still being debated. They occur in limestone caves of Myanmar and Thailand. In the latter country, they're found only in a single province. In 2019, their population was estimated to be in a downward trend. Just a quick timeout to remind you to like and subscribe to our channel. Now, let's head to our top bat. Number 1. Spectacled Flying Foxes. These megabats are found in Australia, New Guinea, and various offshore islands. With a head and body length of nearly 10 inches, 25 centimeters, they can weigh more than 2 pounds, or 1 kilogram. You probably know that they're named for their facial resemblance to foxes. This species has pale fur that circles their eyes like spectacles. While many sources regard these critters as unthreatened, the Australian government differs. They listed the flying foxes as an endangered species after some 20,000 of them died during severe heat waves in Queensland in 2018. Thanks so much for watching. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to hit that big red subscribe button and click the bell for notifications for our next exciting episode right here on Epic Wildlife.